from the touchline, checks his watch, and we're underway here at Celtic Park. Of course, you heard just in the pre-match show the scoreline from Norway at half-time is Rosenborg 0, Valor 0. The Icelandic side leading by 1-0 from the first leg. If that scoreline remains at the end of the 90 minutes over in Trondheim, Celtic will be heading to Iceland. So we'll keep you updated throughout the entire second half of that game over in Norway. And the first leg of the next round will be here next Wednesday night, 7:45 p.m. kickoff. Celtic fans who have packed into Celtic Park tonight will be looking for a strong start with some more goals, and you wouldn't bet against that front pairing of Odsonne Edouard and Moussa Dembele getting on the score sheet. But it's the other Frenchman Ncham who immediately wins possession. Celtic pressing forward already into the middle of the park, where Scott Brown takes a touch, nudges it on to Odsonne Edouard, but it's intercepted. And Alashkert getting their first touches of the ball, but it's shepherded out of play just in front of the visitors' dugout. I know you coped very well last week with the pronunciations of these Alashkert players, so I may well call upon you to help me out at time to time tonight, and apologies to any Armenian viewers for any mispronunciations.
Yeah, and to be honest, Paul, thankfully Celtic had controlled most of the possession out in Armenia, so largely I was talking about Celtic players and how well Celtic were doing. The Armenian outfit, they did have a couple of opportunities and goal, most notably at the start of the second half, but by and large Celtic coped very comfortably. Celtic looked solid defensively, and hopefully we'll see that tonight. It'll be Celtic dominating and bossing the possession. It'll be Alashkert sitting back trying to hit in the counter-attack. Obviously they need goals tonight, and it'll be interesting to see if they commit more men forward.
A free kick against Alashkert inside the Celtic penalty area. Brendan Rodgers just patrolling his technical area as Celtic build from the back, and a big challenge for Alashkert, of course, trailing by 3-0. But when you look at the capacity of the Republican Stadium where we played last week, was just under 15,000, and they're playing in a 60,000 seater stadium tonight. Is something that a lot of these players won't have experienced.
Yeah, and the crowd, it wasn't a full stadium out there, Paul. It was sparsely populated, and you know, you can't compare the atmospheres between the two grounds. So this will be a huge experience, a different experience for a lot of these Alashkert players. They'll be wanting to put on a show on this big stage, but equally Celtic in front of their home fans in the first competitive home match of the new season. They'll want to produce an excellent showing and send these fans home happy. And the ball back on the edge of the 6-yard box with Craig Gordon in that shocking pink outfit. Certainly won't get lost in the dark. It's Celtic on the attack over the halfway line with Callum McGregor, nudges it out wide to the touchline where Kieran Tierney takes up the ball inside to McGregor. The two academy boys combining, but the ball taken off the toes of Kieran Tierney, who redeems himself and nudges it back into Celtic half and Celtic possession with Josef Simanovic, and Celtic captain picks up the ball. McGregor on the left of that three, out wide to Odsonne Edouard. Tierney ahead of him again. Edouard drives in, gives it to McGregor, plays the 1-2, and Edouard manages to stop the ball going out for a goal kick. But Alashkert player goes down, nothing given, and Moussa Dembele, a shot from about 25 yards inside left channel, didn't really test Kansarevic in the Alashkert goal, but first shot on target. Yeah, and it was a decent effort, Paul. You know, plenty of curl on the ball, just too great a distance really to trouble the goalkeeper. But Celtic showing their ambitions early. Good purposeful attack on that left-hand side. Kieran Tierney involved, and here come the hoops again. Odsonne
Edouard this time dispossessed, and Alashkert bring the ball clear. Played through the middle. I think the Alashkert forward was offside, but it was well intercepted by Christopher Ayer. The ball in the centre circle with Ncham. Back now to Jack Hendry. Forrest is ahead of him. Instead he threads it inside to Dembele, who works out to Forrest, going for the return. Forrest tries to flick it inside to Ncham, spins off the Alashkert player, and it's a throw in down the Celtic right, midway inside the Alashkert half. Jack Hendry will take this one up in front of the main stand. Scott Brown offers himself as an option, just nudges it back to the Celtic right back, inside to Ncham again, and Celtic with the throw in. And Celtic right back. Jack Hendry made his first European appearance last week in Yerevan, and a successful one, as it's a dainty flick inside from Moussa Dembele, just a sign early on of the confidence of Celtic's number 10 with that shot and that flick. But Celtic again down the left hand side. McGregor peels off out wide, gives Tierney an option. Instead he dinks it across looking for Forrest, and it's headed behind. First corner with just under 5 minutes gone, goes to the home side.
Yeah, it was a dangerous ball in from Kieran Tierney and James Forrest. You know, he's always willing now to get in at that far post thing. That was one thing that Brendan Rodgers wanted to develop in his game, getting into those goal-scoring positions, and he looks hungry for goals now, Paul. He's so dangerous when he gets in front of goal, such composure, and almost in that occasion.
Alashkert have only kept one man out of the penalty area. He starts to make his way back now. Celtic, of course, have pushed all the big men from the back up into the penalty area. Callum McGregor, over a left-footed in-swinger, steps forward, delivers it to the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's headed. Well, I think it might have taken a block. Christopher Ayer, well, thought about hooking it across. It wasn't great delivery. In fact, I think Callum McGregor was just looking for the ball to be laid back, but it was a dangerous delivery from Callum McGregor.
Yeah, excellent corner. Now it was Jozo Simunovic rising there at the near post. Just think that didn't get a clean connection to the header. He was challenged by two Alashkert players as he rose for that cross. It broke for Christopher Ayer, as you mentioned, Paul, but just couldn't really dig out a cross back into the mix. Frustrating end there, but Celtic showing their threat from set pieces. When he saw that for the second goal out in Armenia, that Celtic can cause problems from those situations.
Long clearance from the Alashkert goalkeeper, finds the head of Simunovic onto the halfway line. It's brought down well by Edegarian, the captain. Threaded forward into the inside right channel, and it's suddenly Alashkert with a rare break forward. Scott Brown battling for that one. The visitors still in possession on their right flank. Eventually Tierney clears it up towards the halfway line, looking for Dembele, and it was a bit of a lunge on the Frenchman there. Both players have stayed down. I think the Alashkert player might just have thought he stays down to escape any retribution from the goalkeeper. Moussa Dembele's back up, although he's limping slightly. The Alashkert player's still down, but Celtic with a one-man advantage, and Moussa Dembele on the ball. Tierney ahead of him, Forrest through the middle. Goes for the 1-2 with Forrest. It breaks out to the left-hand side. The Alashkert player's still down. Tierney out wide to Forrest on this left touchline. Cuts onto his right foot. Plays it to Dembele, spins round his man. Good skill from Dembele. He's still got the ball. He's in the box. Takes a shot. And Moussa Dembele, well, determination, skill. Celtic 1, Alashkert 0.
Well, Moussa Dembele gets his prize for persistence there, Paul. Magnificent play from the striker. He was the one fouled initially. The Alashkert player still on the ground. Moussa Dembele got up, continued with the attack, and when he got to the edge of the box, there was 3, 4, 5 Alashkert players around him. They couldn't muscle him off the ball. He was more determined. He showed great desire, and then eventually got the shot away. It finds the far corner. Celtic lead.
Well, Kancerovic had absolutely no chance there, but Moussa Dembele was determined not to give that one up. And as Mark says, he was the man who was fouled, but the referee played the advantage. Moussa Dembele joined the attack, and he has put Celtic in absolute control. Well, I don't think there was any way back before the start of the game for Alashkert, and it's going to be a long night for the Armenians now, and their player is still down receiving treatment.
Yeah, it's the captain, Edegarian, that's down there, Paul, and we might see a replay of the Nishville, and it looked a bad one at the time. It was a straight leg, yes, it was a rash challenge, it was a dangerous challenge from the Alashkert captain. He was fortunate to get away with it, but it's cost his side in the end, and it's cost the Alashkert player as well. He looks as if he's going to have some trouble here continuing in the game. He's limping off at the side of the pitch, but certainly the referee should be brandishing at least a yellow card in his direction. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's maybe a muscle tear that he's got, because there was nothing that Moussa would have done that would have injured him, but he is a very experienced player, and it would be a real blow for them to lose the captain. I think he's maybe just stretched when he lunged at Moussa Dembele, but certainly Alashkert punished, and Moussa Dembele, well, he scored at the weekend against Standard Liège, a wonderful chip over the goalkeeper, and tonight he has given Celtic their first competitive goal of the season at Celtic Park. The scoreline now in aggregate here is 4-0 in Celtic's favour, 1-0 on the night, and I think the Edegarian is back on at the moment. I think they may just see whether he can run off his injury. It's 11 against 11. Celtic a goal to the good. Jozo Simunovic on the edge of his own area. Back to Craig Gordon. He takes no chances. Left-footed up towards the halfway line. The goal scorer Dembele knocks on to Edouard, and suddenly Celtic on the attack again. And it's James Forrest racing down the right touchline. Still Odsonne Edouard into the box. Thought about the shot, instead clips it across. He was looking for Callum McGregor, and it's headed clear. Well, he had options there, and you saw as soon as Celtic got the ball how many players were breaking forward, Mark.
Yes, so many numbers in the box, and that's so encouraging to see, Paul. But lovely play again from the two strikers. A great flick on from Moussa Dembele. Orson Edouard driving into the box, waiting for his moment, chipped a lovely ball into the mix. Unfortunately, no Celtic takers for it, but the Hoops continue to threaten and looking menacing every time they go forward.
Moussa Dembele now 1 goal short of his half-century, and I think Jozo Simonovic may find himself in the book. And I know we always watch the game through green-coloured spectacles, but I don't think we can. Well, it's a red card. Surely not. I mean, I was going to say it was a justifiable yellow card, Mark, but my goodness, that's to say that's controversial is, I think Jozo Simonovic is absolutely bemused. I mean, at worst it was a mistimed tackle. That's never a red card offence.
Well, it was what you would say, Paul. It was a definite yellow card. It was a mistimed tackle. It was a high one. But if you're going to show any consistency, then yeah, it was a high tackle. But I mean, we just saw that moments earlier from Yediguarian, who wasn't even punished for a similar offence on Moussa Dembele. Obviously Celtic were allowed to play on and scored that goal, but you know, absolute shock around the stadium to see a red card produced there. It's a tackle early in the game. There was no real malice in it. It was just mistimed from Jozo, and Celtic now to contest the rest of this match with 10 men. And obviously, you know, Celtic looking comfortable already, 1 goal up, 4-0 up in aggregate, but you know, it's what you don't want at this stage, particularly early in pre-season. You want to see these games out with comfort, but hopefully I'm sure Celtic can still get the job done tonight in a professional manner. But this will change things, and Celtic will have some tactical alterations to make. Well,
at the moment James Forrest is slotted into the right back role. Jack Hendry's moved inside to partner Christopher Ayer on central defence. Anthony Ralston is warming up behind Craig Gordon's goal up at the Jock Stein stand end. So moment of controversy. Celtic start in the best possible manner with Moussa Dembele's 49th goal for Celtic, and Jozo Simonovic now with a red card, and Celtic will play the remainder of this tie with 10 men. And certainly it's a long way back from Alashkert, but if there's a tiny glimmer, it's the fact that they have that numerical advantage, although they up to now they haven't really threatened in terms of any attacking intent.
Yeah, and it will, you know, give them a boost as Alashkert player was down yet, and it's a free kick to Celtic. No surprise to see the player involved there, Jefferson Reis, who went down very easily in several occasions over in Armenia, and was fortunate himself to escape a red card for a dreadful tackle on Jack Hendry out there. But yeah, it will change things for Celtic, and I'm sure we'll see some changes. But what we know as well, Paul, that Brendan Rodgers always has a plan when Celtic go down to 10 men. And you know, we saw that against Rangers at Ibrox last season, and I'm sure the players will be ready.
Well, I can tell you that in Norway, Nicholas Bentner has scored a penalty 10 minutes into the second half to level the tie. So it's on the night, it's Rosenborg 1, Valor 0, and it's 1-1 on aggregate as Christopher Ayer slides the ball out to the left hand side, and it's picked up by Odsonne Edouard. He's back in possession again. McGregor gives him an option. Of course, Odsonne Edouard was the scorer of that wonder goal at Ibrox when the 10 men of Celtic won 3-2 last season. And the ball bobbing about in the centre circle, and Celtic crowding out the Alashkert player. And back in possession again. Well, it's certainly going to be a tough workout for the 10 men on the park now, but they've still kept the 2 Frenchmen up front. James Forrest, I think, is almost operating as a wing back. When Celtic lose possession, he'll drop into right back. He's now forward as a winger, slides the ball down the line, looking for the run of Olivier Incham. There's 2 men round him, tries to clip it beyond the first of those, but it's gone out of play. In fact, I think he may well have managed to get a corner kick on the lines over this near side. Does indeed signal for that great play there from Olivier Incham. I think it was Sekulic that had the last touch, and it's given Celtic their second corner of the night.
Yeah, well, what you have in this Celtic team, Paul, the foundation of it is a fantastic work ethic, and that's going to be important now with the team down to 10 men. And thankfully you've got players like Olivier Incham with that athleticism that he's able to get beyond defenders and do things like that, winning a corner when he was certainly the least favourite to get on the end of that ball. And now Celtic can hopefully create another problem from this set piece.
And once again it's Callum McGregor on set piece duties. Only Kieran Tierney and Scott Brown have stayed up at the halfway line, and once more it'll be the left foot of Callum McGregor. It was a dangerous delivery last time. Played to the near post, and it's sliced almost into his neck, comes off the side netting. A hand of apology there from Yediguarian, Artak Yediguarian, and it's another corner for Celtic. So almost a calamitous second goal conceded from Alashkert, but again Celtic have a second corner in quick succession, and once more it will be Callum McGregor to deliver this one into the box. I'm sure he'll want to try and get it beyond the first man, and he does. He fires it to the far post, and it just goes over the head of Jack Hendry and sails out for a goal kick. So 15 minutes on the clock, Celtic leading on the night by a goal to nil. Moussa Dembele after 7 minutes, but the real talking point was that red card just 3 minutes later, straight red card for Jozo Simonovic. So Celtic leading 4-0 on aggregate, but down to 10 men on the night. Yeah,
it all started so perfectly for Celtic. It looked like it was going to be a routine European night. Celtic in complete control of the tie, an early excellent goal, but that red card has changed the complexion slightly of the match. Celtic still looking comfortable. They've readjusted quickly since the sending off, but they will have a bit more defending, a bit more work to do to see this one out tonight.
I suppose maybe the biggest concern would be for Brendan Rodgers is that it will rule Jozo Simonovic out from next week's first leg here at Celtic Park.
Yeah, and that's a big blow, particularly when we're short of central defenders in that area, as Jack Hendry heads that one clear. But obviously we're missing Dedrick Boyata, who's been on World Cup duty with Belgium, so the absence of Jozo as well won't help.
Dagbashian penalised for that challenge on the halfway line, and he is yellow carded, the number 8, as Olivier Ncham stays down just on the edge of the Alashkert technical area. The Alashkert coach wasn't happy with that, as well, he certainly followed through onto Olivier Ncham, and I think every challenge, of course, from Alashkert now, the Celtic fans will be screaming for a red card. But I think you see referees sometimes, I thought that overall the refereeing in the World Cup, for example, was very good, almost to the point of leniency. But if you see a referee like that tonight, he's almost made a rod for his own back with that early red card.
Yeah, and there's a couple, that's 2 challenges that the Alashkert players have left a leg dangling in a high boot and the studs up. So, and it's something hopefully the referee's watching for. He has produced the yellow card on that occasion, and hopefully he shows that consistency throughout the match.
I've seen Jack Hendry now in central defence, and quite often it's a position that he feels quite comfortable in as well, as playing right back.
Yeah, I spoke to Jack for the match programme tonight, as obviously his first European match at Celtic Park as a Celtic player, and so a big night for him, and he's now moved inside into that more accustomed role for him as Celtic come again.
Hudson Edouard skips past one challenge, he's into the box, the Frenchman, he's challenged there, and it's a penalty kick. Well, the referee immediately points to the spot. I have to say, I will have to reserve judgment, Mark, because my first thought was that the Alashkert player got the ball in the challenge, but I'll wait and see the replay here. It's wonderful play from Hudson Edouard. He skips in, and it's number, I'm not sure if it's number 70, is it Edigarian? No, it's number 21 actually, it's Gregorian. Well, the Alashkert player, I think he definitely thought he'd got the ball, but the Romanian referee immediately points to the spot. So it's the 10 men of Celtic about to double the lead through Moussa Dembele. It would be his 50th goal in Celtic colours.
Yeah, well, to me, my first inclination, Paul, was to share your sentiments. I thought it was a harsh one because the ball seemed to change direction, and that indicates that the defender did get a touch. The referee was quick to point to the spot, however, and as you say, Moussa Dembele with a chance to notch up half a century of goals for the Hoops.
Very impressive from Moussa Dembele. This is also his 90th appearance, so it's Moussa Dembele against Kancarevic, the Serbian goalkeeper. Just been told to stay on his line. Moussa Dembele, so cool. Remember that first goal he scored for Celtic, the penalty against Astana. Seems so long ago now. The young Frenchman on the verge of putting Celtic 2-0 up on the night and 5-0 ahead on aggregate with just about 19 minutes on the clock. The whistle goes. Moussa Dembele composes himself, steps forward, and it's in the back of the net, and Celtic leading by 2-0, and it's Moussa Dembele with his second goal of the night.
Yeah, coolness personified, as you'd expect from Moussa Dembele in those situations, Paul. He's always so composed, and he steps up to the penalty spot. That was a wonderful finish. The goalkeeper tried to deceive him, dived one way, dived the other, but Moussa Dembele was focused, knew where he was putting it, and he made no mistakes.
Well, Moussa Dembele, he could be going home with the match ball tonight. He's already got 2 goals, and we haven't even played 20 minutes yet. I know we always bemoan the standard of refereeing in Scotland, but my goodness, I wouldn't like to see a Romanian game if this is the standard of the referees.
Yeah, he's certainly been the focus of attention so far. A controversial red card, a penalty that looked a little bit soft from our angle, and you know, he's set down a marker as well by bringing his cards out so early. So it's certainly been an action-packed, entertaining opening to the match, Paul. And you know, hopefully Celtic can continue to build from where they've started, because you know, on the ball Celtic have been excellent so far. They've got the 2 goals. They look like they're playing with plenty of purpose, a good tempo to the game. The only blot in the copybook is that red card to Jozo.
And once again, 10 men of Celtic. We saw it a couple of times last season against Aberdeen at Pittodrie and Rangers at Ibrox, and they don't seem to get unsettled at all. Obviously the manager has drilled into them what to do in these situations, and it's seamless. You wouldn't never think that Celtic are a man down and they're playing good football again, passing their way forward. McGregor, and that's just at best a petulant challenge there by Ross Canyon. Should have been a yellow card, but Celtic take the free kick quickly, and it's another late challenge there on Kieran Tierney. The referee waves play on. Celtic into the box from Moussa Dembele. Well, that was a dreadful challenge there. I think it was Jefferson Reis that clattered Kieran Tierney, and he stayed down, and Callum McGregor may just kick this one out of play. In fact, Scott Brown does, and the referee will now book the Brazilian for a really poor off the ball challenge there on Kieran Tierney, and maybe just a sign that Alashkert know that the tie is over. And I mean, that was straight in front of the referee. Surely that's a red card.
That is, you won't see a more blatant red card, Paul. He's walked across Kieran's path and struck an arm into his face. It could have been an elbow, it could have been an arm, and I think Scott Brown's pointing out that also in the first leg that he should have been sent off as well. No surprise to see the man involved. He obviously has a checkered history when it comes to his discipline. He received a lengthy ban for actually, I think it was assaulting a ball boy at a game at one of his previous clubs, and in the first leg he should have been red carded. He also showed his theatrics as well, so he's certainly one to watch, and I hope, you know, Alashkert are lucky to have still 11 men on the pitch.
The ball into the box, a half chance for Alashkert, but well smothered by Craig Gordon. Celtic on the edge of their area, out wide now to James Forrest, 20 yards from his own goal, nudges it to the edge of the box, and Scott Brown challenge that breaks back to Craig Gordon. This time it's a right-footed clearance with the Celtic goalkeeper up towards the halfway line. Moussa Dembele couldn't quite bring that one under control, and Bagbashian plays it all the way back to his goalkeeper. He gets there just ahead of Moussa Dembele, and he will be very keen to get his first hat-trick of the new season.
Yeah, and he's certainly on his way. Midway through the first half, he's got the 2 goals. He looks such a threat, and Alashkert backline, he's giving them a torrid time with his pace, his power, his movement, and I'm sure you know, with the confidence he's playing with, when he gets another chance, he's going to take it.
I mean, Saturday's game was a good game against Standard Liège, but regardless of how the first leg went, a competitive game. There's just that edge that is obviously missing from pre-season games, and you can just see it in the way that the players are tackling, the way they're going for every ball. Yeah,
there's a hunger, but there's a real fantastic tempo that Celtic are playing at. When you consider this is Celtic's second competitive match of the campaign, you know, this doesn't look like a team that's just fresh back from pre-season, Paul. You know, Celtic, the manager spoke about it, Celtic have returned fitter than they ever have been for the start of the new campaign, and they've showed it in the early season games, and they've continued it tonight.
The ball switched cross field, right to left. It's brought down by Bagbashian. He's on the edge of the box, curls it into the area, finds the head of Jack Hendry though, heads it clear, and Callum McGregor pushes that one down to the Celtic captain. He tried to work it forward to Moussa Dembele, but James Forrest did very well there. Well, we're so used to praising James Forrest in an attacking sense, but he is so good when it comes to covering defensively, and once more Celtic having to defend as the ball on the edge of the area on the right hand side now for Alashkert. It's a shot that's blocked easily in the end by Callum McGregor. Celtic bring the ball clear. Yedogarian ambitious effort, and it's Celtic with Odsonne Edouard drives forward. He's always going to cause problems for Alashkert. He's only got one thought in his mind, and that's to make his way into the area. Dances past one challenge, thought about the cross, clips it across into the penalty spot. It's headed clear, only as far as Olivier Incham. He's got James Forrest in support. Edge of the area, plays it to Forrest. Forrest has got time to turn, nudges it inside to Odsonne Edouard, tries to chip it beyond the goalkeeper, who smothered it well at the expense of a corner. But this is wonderful football from Celtic.
Yeah, terrific interchange of passing again, Paul. And as you mentioned before, Celtic don't look like they're playing with 10 men. The way they're moving the ball about, the way they're attacking with such verve and purpose. Lovely quick passing there. Odsonne Edouard into the box, tight angle, tried to chip the goalkeeper. Celtic have another corner.
McGregor takes it quickly this time, shot to Odsonne Edouard, plays it to in Cham, and I think it was going wide, the right-hand post. Christopher Ayer slid in, but couldn't steer it goalwards. It goes behind for a goal kick, and Christopher Ayer will be desperate to get his first goal in Celtic colours, and he came close there.
Yeah, it still remains elusive, Paul. He's getting closer and closer. Jack Hendry, another one, also looking for first Celtic goal. And
he's probably thinking there that should be in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was a good chance. Obviously the ball coming at pace, and he's diving in there, not off balance, but he just couldn't keep the ball down. But you know, the way Celtic are getting chances from set pieces, Jack and Christopher Ayer, you expect them maybe to get a couple more opportunities, particularly in this match.
Craig Gordon races to the edge of his area, dinks it, actually lands on the roof of the visiting dugout, and it's a throw in the halfway line for Alashkert. Rare possession for the Armenians. They're trailing by 2-0 on the night. A double from Moussa Dembele, the first after 7 minutes. Great determination in the box from the French striker. The second from the penalty spot in 19 minutes. Remember, Celtic down to 10 men. That red card controversial for Jozo Simonovic after 10 minutes. But Celtic certainly don't look as if they have that one-man disadvantage. And Alashkert, I think as soon as the first goal came in, they knew it was going to be the impossible task, but they're still on the ball at the moment. It's with Jefferson. Reis, I think he'll probably stick to the left-hand side. I think if he goes anywhere near Kieran Tierney, he might incur the wrath of the Celtic left-back.
Yeah, and rightly so. He's fortunate to still be on the pitch, and you know, I think there'll be. I think next time Scott Brown goes in a challenge for him, I think the Alashkert player will know about it.
It's the visitors on the ball at the moment. It's a shot. Artak Yedigarian. And I think we usually call them ambitious, which is usually a euphemism for rubbish.
Yeah, it was poor, and to be honest, in the first match as well, out in Armenia, Alashkert's shooting was really poor. They had a couple of good opportunities at the edge of the box, but usually their efforts were quite wild and misguided, and tonight they've continued in that vein. They never look like they're shooting with conviction when they get near the edge of the area, and that was another one just flying harmlessly over the bar.
Jack Hendry just shrugs off the attentions of Alashkert's Brazilian, and Craig Gordon of course will want to record another clean sheet. It's always a source of pride for the goalkeeper, and Celtic building from the back again with Christopher Ayer. He's got McGregor ahead of him, instead slides it through to Moussa Dembele, who did try to flick it forward towards McGregor, didn't quite come off. It's Alashkert down the right hand side, looking to try and swing this one into the area again. It's played to the edge of the box, but the only man who anticipates it is James Forrest. Brings it clear down the middle of his own half, drives past 4 men, glides past them as if they're not there. It's a wonderful move from James Forrest, finds Moussa Dembele. Dembele to Kieran Tierney, but Dembele just gone offside, and it was effortless the way James Forrest just glided past about half a dozen yellow shots.
Yeah, just put the afterburners on there, Paul, and just, as you say, glided through the middle past, leaving several players trailing in his wake. He did very well as well at the end to find Moussa Dembele. Just unfortunately the offside flag was raised, but James Forrest, you know, defensively and offensively in fantastic form again tonight.
He's on the ball again, back with Jack Hendry, switches it into his captain. Celtic playing smart triangles, keeping possession, moving the ball quickly, and it's over to Christopher Ayer, who'll just knock it back to his captain. Always an inspirational figure at the heart of the Celtic midfield, particularly with that one-man disadvantage. He's everywhere. Scott Brown. James Forrest again on the ball, and almost at the half-hour mark, and Celtic leading by 2-0 on the night, and another foul. This time it's Gregorian with the challenge in the centre circle. Scott Brown not happy with that. I can tell you it's into the last 20 minutes and Tron time, and it's still Rosenborg leading by a goal to nil. But here comes Moussa Dembele. He shrugged off the ball that time, and it was good defensive play in the end by Dashin, as Moussa Dembele in search of what would be a very impressive first half European hat-trick. Well, Jack Hendry there, that was impressive, and Celtic again on the attack with Moussa Dembele. He's got Ncham out wide, still Dembele holds on to the ball, eventually just runs into too many yellow shots, but still manages to regain possession, gives it back to Jack Hendry, and that was a nonchalant the way Hendry went in for that challenge. Saw the player on the ground then just walked away as if nothing had happened. Yeah,
it was good strong play, Paul. It's a great boost, I think, when you see such commitment and desire from your players. It was quite a rash one coming in from the Alashkert player, but Jack Hendry was equal to it and continued Celtic's momentum.
I can tell you that the scoreline now from Norway is Rosenborg 2, Valor 0. So at the moment we will be heading back for another visit to Tron time, but Celtic on the attack at the moment. with Odsonne Edouard. He's got Dembele ahead of him, gives it instead to Incham. Trying to work the opening to play it out wide to Forrest, instead force the play to the left hand side. McGregor takes a touch out wide to Kieran Tierney. Tierney's got a chance just to race at his opponent, tries to flick it beyond him but just flicked it too far ahead of him, and in the end Dashin was happy to see that one out of play. So at the moment it's Tronson who has given Rosenborg that vital second goal, so it could be for the second consecutive season we could be playing Rosenborg. And of course the first leg here, regardless of who it is, next Wednesday night, 7:45 p.m. kickoff, and familiar foes, Rosenborg.
Yep, familiar foes. Very tough challenge for Celtic at this early stage of the qualifiers, and we know in terms of fitness as well, Rosenborg are in the midst of their domestic campaign, which does give them that advantage in terms of match sharpness. Thankfully Celtic look to have returned very well for pre-season in terms of that side of the game, but they're going to have to be at their very best to see off Rosenborg. And of course we're going to be out the services of Jozo for the first leg as well, so you know, it will be a severe challenge, but the Celtic team relish these types of occasions. We've showed, you know, we've got that maturity and resilience and steel to get through the Champions League qualifiers. This will be hopefully our third time reaching the group stages this season, and we're going to have to overcome teams like Rosenborg to get there. So it all builds up to a mouth-watering occasion next Wednesday night in Paradise, and hopefully it'll be another wonderful European night in Celtic Park.
Of course, Valor, they've still got about 15 minutes to get a vital away goal that would change the complexion of the second qualifying round, but Celtic are doing their job tonight. Of course they had that 3-0 first leg lead, and into the last 15 minutes of the first half here they are leading by 2-0, and Jack Hendry takes up possession in the centre circle, works it across to James Forrest on the halfway line, and knocks it back inside to Hendry, just plays it forward to Incham, now to Forrest. Forrest clips it down the line, wins the throw, and good play again from Celtic. Always keen to move the ball quickly, always keen to keep possession, and Celtic have the throw in down their right touchline. James Forrest in front of this packed main stand, a wonderful crowd here at Celtic Park tonight. As the ball's flicked forward to Moussa Dembele, tried to play it back to James Forrest but intercepted Reis, and Moussa Dembele jumps in. And there was no connection at all with Dagbashin. Dembele got the ball, and really a bit of play acting there from the Armenian. Yeah, well, he should be getting booked for that, because he's trying to con the referee into giving Moussa Dembele a card there, but there was absolutely nothing in it, as you said, Paul. Moussa went in for the challenge very fairly, and the Alashkert defender just jumping theatrically, looking for some further punishment for the Celtic striker. Well, it looked like Odsonne Edouard was fouled there. Referee weighs play on, and Edouard shows good strength, and Celtic regain possession. Kieran Tierney just inside his own half, he's got options and chooses Christopher Ajer. Cross now to Jack Hendry, out wide to James Forrest, he's immediately closed down, and Reis knocks that one out of play, and Celtic with the throw in their own half, and in absolute control of this tie. The manager, of course, a very strong bench as well. Apart from Scott Bain, we have Scott Sinclair, Ryan Christie, as Craig Gordon gives the ball to Christopher Ajer. I'm not sure if he would thank him. The other subs, Scott Allen, Anthony Ralston, Mikey Johnson, Ebui Kwasi, but at the moment the manager will be happy with the 10 men who are leading on the night by 2-0, but they're having to defend at the moment. Alashkert deep in Celtic territory, looking to try and swing it in the box. Instead it's played into the centre of the park. Yedegarian takes another shot, and this time Craig Gordon at full stretch is forced to play it behind, and the Alashkert have their first corner of the night. Yeah, probably, you know, it's, I'd say it's a rarity to see an Alashkert player actually hit a shot with a bit of conviction and direction, and I think that one was just drifting wide of the post, but Craig had to make sure, and it was a smart save from the Celtic number one in the end. And Alashkert get, as you say, Paul, their first opportunity to swing a set piece into the box. Well, James Forrest will stay about 40 yards from goal, everyone else back defending as the visitors have a first set piece. I'm not sure what the referee is not happy with the way the ball's been spotted. I'm wondering how many top class games this Romanian referee has officiated at. As the ball's knocked into the near post, it's cleared by Moussa Dembele doing defensive duties. It's knocked back towards goal, but this time it's Callum McGregor who controls it. McGregor knocks it across to Edouard, and suddenly Celtic on the attack with numbers. It's 4 against 4. Odsonne Edouard, he's got options. Chance for James Forrest. Wonderful finish, James Forrest. He raced from one end to the other and delivered a wonderful finish. Celtic 3, Alashkert 0.
Well, that was an absolutely tremendous counter-attack from Celtic ball. Wonderful stuff. As they all started with Alashkert corner, Celtic won possession, broke at lightning speed. Odsonne-Edouard driving through the middle. I thought he was delayed the pass slightly, but he picked the right moment to release James Forrest. And as we said, James Forrest playing with such confidence, such belief, and that was an emphatic, accurate finish into the far corner to put Celtic 3-0 up.
Well, Odsonne-Edouard did so well there. He had options to the right, options to the left, and he just waited for the exact moment to lay the ball into the path of James Forrest, and it was a precise, almost Callum McGregor-esque in its finish there, but beyond Kancerovic. He's had no chance with any of the goals, and a wonderful finish again from James Forrest. 2 competitive goals already, and marking his 70th European appearance with a great goal. Yeah,
he's crowned a milestone moment with a superb goal, Paul, and it just makes you think what the score would be if Celtic had 11 men on the pitch, because as we Celtic come forward again.
Odsonne-Edouard trying to link up with Moussa Dembele, but intercepted. Dagbashin brings it forward over the halfway line. Scott Brown in attendance, and James Forrest picks up the loose ball. It's now with Incham forward to Odsonne-Edouard, and Moussa Dembele just offside. That was a wonderful combination play between Celtic's 3 Frenchmen, almost setting Moussa Dembele up for a chance at his hat-trick.
Yeah, again, great interchange of play. There seems to be a very good understanding between Odsonne-Edouard and Moussa Dembele. They know where each other is running, where each other is moving across the front line, and it was a lovely pass slipped in there. Unfortunately, Moussa just moving a yard too early and strayed slightly offside, but there's definitely going to be more chances for Celtic in this game, and hopefully Moussa can get that hat-trick.
Christopher Ajer on the ball, showing great presence of mind, and Celtic passing the way forward. Been a very impressive first half. Celtic, of course, have played for most of it with 10 men. Jozo Simonovic red carded after just 10 minutes. As Incham plays it forward to Odsonne-Edouard, and he's fouled there, and that's got to be a yellow card, surely, because it was a very cynical challenge there by Przesnowski, but no, he escapes the wrath of the referee, and he looks too much for Alashkert to handle tonight. Odsonne-Edouard,
I think it's important as well, Paul. Celtic have got to keep their discipline. Now as another late tackle comes in on Scott Brown.
Well, so Kulic there, just flattening the Celtic captain. I think he was just pointing out the ball, and not very happy about that either.
Yeah, timing was perfect. Just seeing how Celtic have got to keep their discipline, because Alashkert look like they want to ruffle some feathers tonight. They've made some late tackles, some high boots, some theatrics as well. So it can be, Celtic are in complete control. The tie is done. They're winning 3-0 on the night, 6-0 in aggregate. It's now just a matter of seeing this one out. Playing good attacking football when they can, but not letting the Alashkert players get to them, and hopefully not getting more suspensions as we have to negotiate some tough European qualifiers, whether it's Valor or whether it's Rosenborg.
And it's Alashkert on the ball at the moment. Scott Brown challenges with Reis, penalised, and Alashkert with the free kick. Przesnowski knocks it to the edge of the centre circle, and it's worked out wide to the right hand side, and Alashkert, it's been a long journey for the Armenians, and so far it's not been a very enjoyable one. They lost 3 at home, they've lost 3 here at Celtic Park, and they haven't even reached half time, and Olivier Incham blocks that cross from Dagbashin and immediately goes to close the ball down. Reis up against James Forrest, almost at the corner flag. He plays it off Forrest and wins his side a corner, their second corner of the first half, with just about 6 minutes of that first half to go.
I think we'll probably speak about James Forrest more and more during this game, Paul, but it's like Celtic, James Forrest is playing as a right back and a winger. He's just contributing so much to this game, going forward and defensively as well, and it shows how he's matured over the years under Brendan Rodgers, that he can play that defensive role so effectively as he's done tonight.
So the visitors a chance to deliver the ball into the area. It's fired into the 6-yard box. It's headed away by Moussa Dembele. The far side, Alashkert look to deliver it, and it's blocked by the Celtic captain, and they have a corner over on the far side, so they're trying to maintain at least a modicum of pressure and try and put Craig Gordon's goal under pressure, but so far The Celtic goalkeeper has been relatively untroubled. James Forrest makes his way back to the edge of the D just to try and block any potential chance for Dashian, who's lurking there. As it's played short to the edge of the area, it's a shot on target and it's headed clear. I think it was Olivier Incham that blocked that one. It's picked up again by Alashkert and delivered it to the far post. Jack Hendry knocks it away, but at the moment Alashkert picking up the loose ball, it spins onto the roof of the net, and it's a 4th corner for the Armenians. Yeah,
you would expect Alashkert to have a bit more pressure in the game, a bit more possession than they would probably have had if Celtic had a full complement of men on the pitch. So it has to be expected that they're going to have these periods in the game, but Celtic looking comfortable, looking resolute in defending these situations, and as Alashkert saw on the break, Celtic can be devastating, so they'll be very aware of that as they take this 4th corner kick of the game.
Into the last 5 minutes of the first half here at Celtic Park, and Celtic in total control, leading on the night by 3-0, 6-0 on aggregate, defending again a set piece, and once more it's Moussa Dembele. He's scored 2 tonight, but he's got his head to just about everything that Alashkert have put into the back of the net, and Craig Gordon there watched that one with relief as it sailed just narrowly wide of his left hand post. It was a shot in the end by the captain Artur Yedogarian, and I don't think Craig Gordon would have got that one.
No, and it's Yedogarian that's having all the shots in goal. We had a few in the first leg as well, as we spoke about earlier, that he was off target early in the match, a couple of wild attempts, but the last 2 have been a bit more accurate, threatened Craig Gordon's goal, and you know, finally he's beginning to find his range, but Celtic still looking comfortable.
Kieran Tierney on the ball in front of the north stand, just a few yards inside his own half. Scott Brown again showing great composure on the ball, curls it across to James Forrest, the scorer of that 3rd goal. He plays it down the line, Celtic moving the ball crisply, quickly, and they're now on the edge of the Alashkert area. Incham plays it back to Forrest. They try to knock it across, and it's spun off an Alashkert defender, and Celtic have the 5th corner of the first half.
Well, you can just see the terror in the eyes of the Alashkert players when James Forrest runs forward at pace, Paul. He's just wreaking havoc every time he approaches the edge of the box with that pace, that purpose and that dribbling ability, and he's got Celtic on the front foot once more.
Can Celtic get a 4th goal before the break? Well, I can report I think Valur have managed to nick an away goal, so we may be heading to Iceland after all, but Celtic on the attack again. This time the ball clutched out there by Kincharovic, and indeed Valur, with, by my watch, I think about 4 minutes plus added time, have scored a vital away goal, and that would be a real shock for Rosenborg, as Jack Hendry on the edge of his own area starts to make his way down the line inside to Olivier Incham. So we shall of course either keep you updated, or Jerry and Tom will, as the ball switched right to left. You have to say Celtic's 3 Frenchmen tonight have been so impressive.
Yep, as Celtic managed to keep that one and play brilliant play there from Odsonne Edouard, but the trio, Olivier Incham breaking from midfield, breaking the lines, Moussa Dembele so strong holding the ball up, got his 2 goals, and Odsonne Edouard's movement and pace, they've really left Alashkert with no answer, and they're a real important part of this Celtic team. And Olivier Incham as well, maybe someone we've not talked about as much. He looks to have really kicked on again from last season. He just grew in confidence and authority as that campaign wore on, and he's shown it in his early season performances that he's going to be a pivotal player for Celtic in this campaign.
Into the last 2 minutes of the first half, Celtic leading by 3-0. There was a penalty from Valur in Norway, has given them a vital away goal. So at the moment, as we approach the end of that game, at the moment Valur would be going through on their away goals. Of course, there still could be drama in the last couple of minutes, and we shall keep you up to date, because of course the first leg is going to be here at Celtic Park next Wednesday night, a 7:45 PM kickoff. My goodness, Dagbashian certainly goes down very easily, and a bit theatrical again from the Armenian, and picked up there by Odsonne Edouard, throws the ball back to his goalkeeper. And Alashkert, it must be horrible. They're trailing by 6-0 aggregate. They have to go into the dressing room and then have to come back out for another 45 minutes of torture.
Yeah, well, it could have been so much worse if Celtic had 11 men on the pitch, because you would imagine if that was the case, there would have been more goals, and they would have been having to do a lot more defending, a lot more working off the ball. As it is, they're 3-0 down, they're 6-0 down in aggregate, and really finding it difficult to build any momentum against this dominant Celtic side.
Well, the fourth official in the mouth of the tunnel, maybe a minute or two added on. Remember, Garian had required treatment as the ball's played through, looking for Hudson Edward. A challenge there from the goalkeeper, who stayed down. Well, I think he was the author of his own misfortune, because I think most goalkeepers would have been able to slide out and actually catch that one, and I'm not sure if he took a touch off Hudson Edward or his own defender there. We'll try and see that one again. And he has stayed down injured, so it may delay the end of the first half. But Celtic again, the combination of Moussa Dembele and Hudson Edward, it's almost instinctively they know when one gets the ball, goes deep, they know where the other one's running. Yeah,
it's like one plays off the shoulder and they swap that roll around. And you know, both the players, for all the power and physicality they have great acceleration as well. So it's a nightmare for defenders. You don't know whether to drop off, you don't know whether you can push up and try and play a high line, because they can cause problems in both areas. So far they've done that to great effect in this first half.
2 added minutes at the end of this first half, and we are into those 2 added minutes. Celtic, of course, leading by 3-0. 2 from Moussa Dembele, including 1 from the spot and 1 from James Forrest, added to those 3 first leg goals in Armenia. But here come Alashkert with a rare 40 forward on the edge of the box. It's curled towards the far post, but well read there by Craig Gordon as Reis tried to catch the Celtic goalkeeper unawares, but he was equal to the task, and Celtic bring the ball forward. Of course, the manager does have the option of making a couple of changes. He decided against making the change when Jozo Simonovic went off, and the players who have stayed on the park have really been impressive. It has been a tremendous showing in this first 45 minutes from Brendan Rodgers' side. And certainly I think no one had any doubts that we were going to be in the second qualifying round, but certainly our first half performance has been emphatic.
Yeah, and what I really like about this the Celtic team that's emerged for the start of this season, Paul, is, you know, with Moussa and Hudson Edward playing closer together up front, it means we can mix up a bit at times, you know, and it leaves opposition teams with that doubt in the mind, because there are times we can go a bit more direct. You've got that physicality up front, like Moussa or Hudson can hold the ball up, bring others into play, and they can play close together and feed off each other. So, you know, Celtic in all departments, whether they're playing that pass and patient style, or if they go a little bit more direct and move the ball forward quickly, they can cause teams problems, and Alashkert have been on the receiving end this evening.
Well, Celtic with a throw-in over on the far side. The referee in the centre circle has another glance at his watch. By my watch, that's the 2 added minutes. He puts his whistle to his mouth and calls time on what has been a very impressive first 45 minutes here at Celtic Park. Remember, Celtic went into this game leading by 3-0 from that first leg in Alashkert, and tonight Moussa Dembele has been on fire. After 7 minutes, his determination won him the chance inside the box and fired it beyond the goalkeeper. The second goal was a penalty, perhaps slightly dubious, but Moussa Dembele nevertheless finished it. And then the goal from James Forrest capped a wonderful first half performance from Celtic. The only blot, of course, was that controversial red card after 10 minutes from Jozo Simonovic, but by and large, Brendan Rodgers must be very pleased, Mark, with how things have gone in this first half here.
Yeah, I'll be very highly satisfied, Paul. In terms of the performance, it's been excellent. It's been disciplined in terms of the way Celtic have set up